Loyalty is very important to Jackalman. Unfortunately, he's loyal only to himself. As a member of the mutants, enemies of the Thundercats, Jackalman leads the Jackalmen, a group of humanoid jackals from the planet Plundar. Jackalman's real name is Kanar, and regardless of his name, there's no question that this scavenger is a conniving coward whose intentions can never be trusted, except when it comes to him using any means possible to destroy the Thundercats. Jackalman first appears in Thundercats' first episode, Exodus. He and the other mutants trying to obtain the Eye of Thundera attack the Thundercats ship on their way to a new home after the planet Thundera was destroyed. After their attack failed, the mutants follow the Thundercats to Third Earth. While surveying Third Earth, they are shot down by Mumra's pyramid and they are forced to crash land. Now stranded on Third Earth with the Thundercats, Jackalman, along with the other mutants, fight for control of the planet and the power of the Eye of Thundera. Jackalman appeared in many different forms of media, such as the 1985 Thundercats animated series, the 2011 Thundercats animated reboot, comics published by Marvel, DC, Wildstorm, and Panini, and he appeared in a video game, Thundercats: The Lost Eye of Thundera, published in '87, but not released in the US. Jackalman comes in a black and white mailer box. In the center is the Mumra logo. It looks different than the original. The original looked like two ordinary snakes. This new one looks like two cobras. The Mumra logo always reminded me of the Thulsa Doom logo from Conan the Barbarian. Conan premiered in '82 and the Thundercats premiered in '85, so it's entirely possible that the Thundercats was inspired by Conan. Below the Mumra logo is the character's name, Jackalman. And below that, and to the right, is the Thundercats logo. On the side is artwork of the mutants' base, Castle Plundar. On the other side is artwork of Jackalman himself. On the back is not much except for legal text. On the top is the Thundercats logo. On the bottom is nothing. Out of the mailer box, Jackalman is in a nice window box package. Behind the figure is a monochromatic red Mumra logo. You can clearly see the figure and all his accessories. In his hands is his spiked club accessory. On the right is two interchangeable hands, and on the left is his battle axe. At the bottom is artwork of Lionel's face with the Sword of Omens using sight beyond sight. The Sword of Omens continues up the package embossed on the clear plastic bubble. On the side is a barely visible gray Thundercats logo and the character's name Jackalman in yellow. On the other side is a monochromatic gray artwork of Jackalman. On the back at the top is artwork of Jackalman with Castle Plundar in the background. And below that is Jackalman's bio, which I read earlier in Jackalman's origin. On the top is the Thundercats classic logo, and on the bottom is more legal text. So now let's free Jackalman from his plastic prison. Taking a look at Jackalman's sculpt, it's well done. He uses the Masters of the Universe Classics buck and some new parts. What's new is his head, his armor, his belt, his arm guard and band, and his shin bands. The sculpt on his head is quite good. The fur, his snout, his teeth, his eyes, his ears, everything is fantastic. He looks like he just jumped out of the cartoon. His armor is part of his fur on his shoulder and his neck, and it's sculpted well. His armor straps have a nice texture that make them look realistic. The sculpture on his armor continues on his back. More well-sculpted texture on the straps. The buckles on the straps look nice. His fur on his shoulder looks good. The fur on the back of his neck is well sculpted. The pauldron and everything looks very nice. The armor and fur on his shoulder and neck are all one piece and is removable. If you care to remove it, simply pop off the head, unfasten the peg, and slip off the armor. As you can see, without the armor and fur, it's the standard Masters of the Universe Classics buck. Comparing Jackalman to the Masters of the Universe Classics Stratos, you can see they share the same torso. They also share the same upper legs, but the calves and feet are different. They also share the same shoulders and biceps, but the forearms and hands are different. He also has a nice texture on his belt that goes all the way around the belt. He has There's a nice sculpt on his arm guard that looks like real fur. On the other side of the arm guard is more straps with nice realistic texture. There is more well sculpted texture on the arm band of the other arm. There's more well sculpted texture on his shin bands that go all the way around the bands, and they look very nice. So overall, Jackalman's sculpt is very well done. Taking a look at Jackalman's paint, for the most part it's done well. The paint is best on his head. There's subtle variation of color in the fur. His eyes are especially painted well. They are painted with a glossy paint which makes them look realistic, especially compared to the matte paint on his fur. The paint on his armor looks good. Again, most of it is matte except for the red button in the middle, which is glossy, which makes it stand out. Looking at the paint on his pauldron, it looks a bit sloppy. On the studs, it's more noticeable. His chest is painted two different colors. Unfortunately, they missed a bit right here, but it's not a huge deal. I like the cheetah pattern on his arm guard. I've always wondered, did he kill one of Chitara's race to make the arm guard? But I guess that's just my morbid curiosity. Peekaboo! If you look underneath Jackalman's loincloth, it's not painted. However, when comparing it to other figures like the Masters of the Universe Classics Stratos, his is painted. So overall, except for some minor problems, Jackalman is painted well. Jackalman's head is on a ball joint, and it goes all the way around, up and down, and it tilts slightly back and forth. He has a ball hinged shoulder that goes out and in, and not quite all the way around because it's hindered by his shoulder pauldron and also on the other side. He has a bicep swivel that goes all the way around. He has a single joint at the elbow that bends like that. He has a swivel at the wrist and it goes all the way around, and also a hinge at the wrist that goes back and forth. He has an ab crunch joint that bends slightly forward and slightly back, and a waist swivel that goes all the way around. He has hip articulation that goes out and in and forward and back. His leg swivels at the thigh and it goes all the way around, bends at the knee like that, rotates at the calf and goes all the way around, and his foot goes up and down, and it has ankle pivot that goes back and forth. Looking at his ankle articulation, when standing him up straight with both feet flat on the ground, it doesn't look right. His ankles stick out too far. For accessories, Jackalman comes with this spiked club. It has a great sculpt and paint. It looks like real wood. The black wash brings out the sculpt. It has a nice metallic bronze paint around the one spike that looks like real metal. It fits nicely into either one of Jackalman's hands that comes on the figure out of the box. I'll talk more about that when I talk about the hands. His next accessory is a battle axe. Like the club, the axe handle is sculpted and painted well and looks like real wood. The black wash brings out the sculpt. The blade is a nice gray with a metallic silver that makes it look like real metal. And it has a nice realistic wooden spike at the end. It can fit nicely into either one of Jackalman's hands that come on the figure out of the box, or it can be held in both hands at once. His next accessory is two alternate hands. They look good and they're sculpted well, but I'm not sure what Mattel included these for. They aren't much different from the hands that come on the figure out of the box. They don't seem to have any function. It's almost as if Mattel saw all other companies doing this, and so now they feel like they have to jump on the alternate hand bandwagon. They can be easily swapped. Simply pull out the hands that come on the figure out of the box and put the peg of the other hand into the hole in the wrist, and do the same thing with the other side. But unfortunately, as you can see, the second pair of hands don't hold on to the weapons very tightly. For scale, Jackalman stands just over 7 inches tall, and he has peg holes at the bottom of his feet. Comparing him to Lion-O and Filmation He-Man, you can see that Jackalman is taller than Lion-O and slightly taller than He-Man, but the scale still works pretty good between the three of them. Comparing Jackalman to other figures like the Secret of the Ooze Michelangelo and the DC Multiverse Dark Knight Returns Batman, the scale also works well, as Mikey should be shorter and Batman should be around the same size as Jackalman. However, Jackalman's scale doesn't work well with Marvel Legends Spider-Man or DC Universe Classics Superman. Unfortunately, I don't have another Jackalman to compare this figure with, but here is a picture of the LJN Vintage Jackalman, and as you can see, they look very different. Clearly, Mattel's Jackalman classic figure looks most like his '85 cartoon counterpart. So overall, Jackalman is a great figure. The negatives is the alternate hands are kind of pointless. The paint is sloppy in some parts. The positives are that the sculpt is excellent. He looks just like his animated version of himself. Where the paint is good, it's really good. The articulation is good, and the package is good. So my final grade for Jackalman is an A-. I'm Tony Beers. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And Thundercats, ho! This video is sponsored by the Crazy Kings of Toys. Check them out for all your toy needs and find out why they are so crazy. Find them on Amazon, eBay, Bricklink, and Facebook. Links are in the description. For more Toxic Pop, visit our website at toxicpop1.wixsite.com/toxicpop. Email us at toxicpop1@gmail.com and check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/toxicpop1 and Instagram at instagram.com/wearetoxicpop. Links are in the description.